Guys, we're here, we're live. Welcome to a brand new Poker Live podcast. My name is Joey One, aka Chicago Joey. Today, we are only on YouTube. We're not on Twitch. If you're watching this on Twitch, that's fucking impossible because we are not on there. I don't know what's going on. And shout out to you guys on YouTube, man. My hardcore's on YouTube. Man, I'm excited to have I'm very excited for me to get to know him a little better. I'm excited for you guys out there to get to know him a little bit better. I so like when I try to think about, what do I know this guy for? I know him for being a tournament player, but I don't really keep track of what's happening in the tournament world. So I don't know too much about his specific tournament success online or live, but I've really enjoyed reading a lot of the writing he's done on his blog. He's a very open guy. He seems like a very great guy. I have a bunch of mutual friends, and let's get it going, man. We got Ben Wilinofsky, aka NeverScaredB. What's going on, Ben? Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me on, Joey.
All right, guys, if you have any questions throughout the podcast, let me know. Shout out to my boy Herman Van de Merk for bringing up Ben's name in the Facebook group recently. And I was like, you know what, man? I got to reach out to Ben. I want to have Ben on the podcast. So there might be some lag on my end today. If there is lag, I do apologize. This might be fun. So we'll see what happens. So let me know how everything is on my end, guys, because people in the chat are saying there's some lag. But yeah, Ben, how's things going, man? Where are you at right now?
I just got back to Vancouver. I was on the road for about a month and a half. We hit Moscow, saw Rada's family, and then went to Berlin, played World Series Europe Main, went over to Malta for a bit, played a couple of EPT events, and then went to Greece and just chilled on the beach for a week and a bit, and then hit Amsterdam for MCOP and came home.
What was this, the last month? How long ago was this?
Like a month and a half.
Wait a second. Let's go back. I'm gonna back up a second. You started off where before Berlin?
Moscow.
Moscow with your
Rada. Yeah.
With Rada, your wife's family. Okay. Then you went to Berlin for WSOP Europe.
Yeah, and then Malta for the EPT right after that. And then we just hung out in Greece for like a week, I think, maybe a week and a half, and then went to Amsterdam and played like one event in Amsterdam and played like maybe 4 hours of poker total, woke up at like 4 p.m., registered the event, was done by 8, and enjoyed our time in Amsterdam the rest of it.
Jeez, man, what are you, professional world traveler? I should have put that. Hold on, let me redo the intro at the beginning. Professional world traveler, Ben Wilinofsky.
Yeah, you guys that play online cash, you miss out on this stuff. You get to see a bunch of like weird, crazy places that, I ran into actually some guys that travel around and play like cash wherever the tournament circuit is playing. Ran into some Italian guys, so they get a little bit of the world traveling. But I don't know. I did it for like, when I first got into it, I was super excited because I hadn't really been outside of Canada much, and I did it for like a year and a half, just like bouncing around all the EPTs and stuff. It gets exhausting after a while. Like at the end of the Amsterdam trip, I was like, do I want to fire another bullet in this tournament, or do I just want to go home? And home sounded real nice. So sometimes it's just like that,
Traveling a couple months this summer and living in hotels for like 2.5 months. I couldn't wait to get back home. I was like, man, I just want to get in my bed. I just want to sleep. I don't want to have to, worry about like this bed. Just the hotel life, living in the hotel, your room's all discombobulated. You're eating room service every day. You're eating terribly, probably. You can't you're not in your normal routine.
You just want all your stuff in one place and all of your life in one place. Having it like, you hit the road and you're like, all right, this is like 20% of my life in a suitcase. Let's go. And then you get to miss it in the other 80% eventually.
Yeah, that's a big reason why, I like the online cash life, because you can just you don't have to feel really guilty about just staying in one place for a couple months at a time. You don't have to feel like you're missing out on these tournament series, you're missing out on playing this or playing that. But at the same time, it's a pretty cool thing to be able to go to all these different places, hang out in Greece for a week. Where are you guys hanging? It's like I've heard Greece is okay, guys, I know that people get mad at me on geography. Just hold on a second. I always try to talk geography. Hold on. I got to double check this. Hold on a second. So I'm curious about this. Okay, Greece is on the blacks. Nope. Which seas? Greece is on the.
Greece is on a bunch of seas. It's on the Mediterranean. It's on the Ionian, and it's on the Aegean.
So there's a lot of beaches in Greece. All right, perfect.
Yes.
So you were just hanging out on the beach for a week in Greece, getting a little bit of a post-Malta, post-poker relaxation going on there?
Yeah, yeah. We went to like a little beach town called Vasiliki, which is on one of the islands in the Ionian Sea, and it's just like it was off tour season, so we were basically the only ones there, and just like walked into town, hung out on the beach, just decompressed completely. It was nice. I did get a little bit of food poisoning while I was there, which kind of made it less like we wanted to go exploring a bit, because it's kind of it's really nice. It reminds me of Vancouver a little bit. It's right on the sea, but then it's quite hilly and kind of almost mountainous. Like you can walk up quite a bit, and we didn't really get a good hike in because I was sick. But it was really, really beautiful there.
So are you one of the guys who, when you go on a vacation like that, or you want to take some time away, you feel like you're still thinking a lot about poker? You want to be playing poker online, or you're like sort of feel a little bit anxious because you're not playing poker, like you're relaxing, but you sort of can't turn it off and you can't really relax?
Not as much anymore. I used to be one of those guys for sure, and I could just like I basically didn't take a real vacation for all of the years that I was traveling the poker tour and all of the years that I was by myself. I'm getting better at it now, and poker is just kind of doesn't have a hold over me like it did. And so I was pretty much able to turn it off. I did like, one of the problems is I had like food poisoning, so I was just like stuck in the hotel room quite a lot because I had to be near a toilet. So whenever you're on the computer, you like, it's tough to get away from poker because it's like, oh, here's this like engaging thing I can do, and I can make my hourly rate, and like it's fun and turns your brain on. But when I'm like out traveling and not stuck, and can like go exploring, I'm getting better at like not making it a thing that I obsess over.
So why don't you explain what you mean by poker having a hold over you and obsessing about it, that sort of thing? Like, explain that feeling to people out there, because I'm sure some people are like, what does he mean by that?
Well, when you're playing poker, there's like, you always have this calculus going in the back of your head, like, all right, here's the opportunity cost of doing this thing, and it's my hourly wage, whatever my hourly expected value is. Like, I'm giving that up to go do this thing. And poker is still sometimes kind of fun, like we still enjoy it, and it's still like at least it's very comfortable for us. You guys, we've been doing it for a long time. I assume you've been doing it for a long time as well.
Yeah.
So your brain creates these heuristics where this is your comfort zone. These are things that you've done over and over so much. So you can just kind of get into kind of an almost relaxed state where you're still focused, and you're still thinking a lot, but a lot of it is very automatic and doesn't create a lot of stress of new experiences. A lot of your brain isn't working that hard on poker because you've done it all before so often. So it's a really nice, like, comfortable experience, and you can just get into kind of a groove with it, and then you're making sort of this hourly expected value. So that can be a really kind of almost a golden handcuffs experience where you feel like you're stuck to this thing. You have to, like, I could go out and do this fun thing, or I could stay in and be relaxed and calm and in my zone, and also make, whatever X $100 an hour, depending on how good you are at it. And that can be a really tough thing to walk away from until you're married. Then it gets easier, because then you want to do stuff with that person, and don't marry a poker player, because then you'll be stuck in it forever. But it helps a lot to have something outside of poker that's more appealing than poker, to just kind of break that spell, because I really couldn't for a really long time. Like, anytime I would want to do something, it would be like, all right, Scoop's coming up, W Coop's coming up. Gotta arrange my life around Sundays. Gotta be up at fucking 8 a.m. on a Sunday to not miss any hands in the Sunday warm up, and then, gotta, what's the EPT schedule like? All right, let's arrange everything around that, and it seems like you're very free because you can make all your own decisions, but how much free will do you really have if you're kind of tied to all of these things where you feel like the cost of skipping it is too high.
That's this is the second most interesting thing I've heard this week. The first most interesting thing I heard, I cannot repeat on the podcast. But what you said.
Why not? Are we like PG-13 rated here?
Well, it relates.
Do I have to watch my language?
This will be talked about next Wednesday when I have Daryl Fish on the podcast, because it's something he brought up to me about growing up with a type of relationship with our parents that we had, which relates to our current sex life. And I was like, oh, he told me something. And I was like, oh my fucking God, I got to have you on the podcast. We got to talk about this in the podcast. But what you said is something I've always wondered about myself. So a lot of times I'll be wanting to work on something new on the computer. I'll let me do something new. And I start getting a little bit of anxiety. I start like getting a little bit frazzled, stressed out. I always open up online poker, start playing. Like I've done this 500 times where
it's so comfortable.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I'm like, this is my way to relax. This is my way to not feel stressed out. As like I open up a couple tables, I'm like, ooh, feel so much better now. But I never really understood exactly why I felt that way until you kind of broke it down like that. Now it makes a lot more sense. Like it's just.
I've had that experience too. I've been trying to I haven't written on my blog in a long time, and I tried a couple of times to write something, and I've been trying to write other things, and it's just like I'm at the computer, and it is kind of a tough process because writing, carves something out of your skin almost. Like it takes a chunk out of you to put something like honest and something you really feel onto the page. It can be really healthy if you can cut some of the bad stuff out of you, but can also be really, really challenging. And then I'm like, wow, this is like really intense. Let's just fire up some Zoom or something. Let's chill for a little bit,
Oh yeah, I mean, I've probably tried to write 20 times over the past 4 months. I wrote once like that, and I feel like it was good writing. I think some people enjoyed it that read it, but man, it's tough. Like you sit there and you're like, okay, you're like pacing around your room. You're fired up. You're like, all right, I know what I'm gonna write down. I know what I want to say. You sit down to write, and you're just like, oh. Got nothing, right? Like I don't know. You're not confident about what you're putting out, or you don't want people to. It's just I don't know what it is. Like what do you think it is with you when you sit down and you're like, all right, I'm gonna write, and then
nothing comes out.
Then nothing comes out. Yeah.
Part of it is I can be a little bit of a perfectionist. Like something that I'm working on right now that I'm writing. I spent like 10 minutes trying to decide between the word rotting, rotting, and rotted for a sentence. Like just that took me 10 minutes and just kind of finding the perfect thing. And I'm still not happy with it. So that can be a real problem when you're just never happy with it, because then it's super stressful to put something out there when like I'm going to put something out there and it's not going to work. And then I'm going to hammer it and 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 still not be happy with it. Whereas, I can instead fire up Zoom and get like a very immediate reward. And playing poker is super immediately rewarding, and writing to write something, I don't know what you're trying to write, but even a blog post takes me probably a couple. Sometimes I just hammer them out in a day, and it's at like 3 a.m, I just get my crazy ramblings out of my head, and it doesn't make much sense, but it's just good for me to get that shit out of my head. But sometimes, it takes a couple of weeks of hammering and refining, and you write it piece by piece by piece. And it's rewarding in a different way, but doesn't have that immediate gratification that, humans crave so much. So it's a real challenge when you're at the computer and you have something that can grab that immediate gratification to just kind of push it away and say, no, I'm going to work on the long-term thing.
Yeah, man. Fuck, it's challenging. It's so hard. I'm just thinking about, so you said you're not writing a blog post, so you're working on something a little bit bigger than that?
Yeah, I'm trying to write a story. I'm trying to write like a book. I don't know. It could be a short story. It could be a book. Who cares how it fucking turns out? I just want to write, like I have a whole idea in my head and I want to get it out on page in an interesting and engaging way. And it's just like I've had the start of this for a really long time. And every time I open it up and go back to it, I do that thing where I just like look over it and I'm not happy with something. And I just hammer and hammer and hammer and refine it and change like little bits. I think since I've written it, I've probably actually lost like 200 or 300 words. since like the first time getting these ideas out of my head. It's gotten smaller. So if I work on it for like 3 or 4 more years, it'll probably just be an empty page eventually. Like just reduce and reduce and reduce until it's. But it's an interesting process, and it is a challenge. And I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm ready for a new challenge, but then I sit down and wanting a new challenge is not the same thing as being ready for a new challenge. You know, like it's really, really different from what I've been doing with the last 6 or 7 years of my life. You know, like instead of that instant gratification, instead of really kind of high tempo decision making, it's a slow building process. And I like that notion in kind of a romantic way of you know, like building something up slowly, you know, like building a house with your own hands type of thing. You lay the foundation, you work slowly and you put it together, and then you have a final product that's yours and that you made. But it's a tough mindset to get into, to get out of like poker, where you're like, all right, I'm sitting down, I'm making my EV every day, grind, put your nose to the grindstone and you know, get immediate feedback about how you're doing. This, it's like, you know, little by little by little, piece by piece by piece, and it's not, you know, it's a non-thing until it's a complete thing, right? Like having 2% or 5% of a story written out is not a story. Whereas, you know, having, you know, getting to 5% of supernova elite or whatever your goal is on your grind during the year, you get an immediate reward. You get, you know, that's why they have these great VIP rewards now that are every like 10K and then every 100K VPPs, right? Because you get little rewards along the way and it keeps you going. And with a story, it's not like that. You look at like what's on the page, and then you think about all the ideas in your head, and you're like, fuck, this thing on the page isn't those at all. You know, it's not even close to my vision. You know, like imagine looking at a foundation of a house and you're like, yeah, this is on its way to being a house. Great. You know, let's go sit in it. Fuck no, it's not. It doesn't work until you've got 4 walls on the roof.
Fuck, man, I'm stressed out thinking about this goddamn story now. I can't imagine how you feel. I'm stressed out thinking about you doing this story now, man.
It's weird. We need a little bit of stress in our lives, you know. Without stress, we don't grow. And I feel like I haven't grown that much through poker. And initially, you know, first 2 or 3 years, I probably grew a lot. I probably changed a lot of who I was and how I felt about myself through poker. But the last, probably everything, I don't think anything significant has changed through poker, I guess, since probably Berlin. Like winning a big one felt very validating and felt like it changed how I felt about myself and who I was. But like since then, it's just been the same thing year after year. And I need a little bit of something different to kind of push me and to keep me growing and to keep myself on a path to being a better person. Because otherwise you just do the same things over and over. It gets boring.
Don't you think being in a marriage does something like that for you? That helps you to keep growing?
No.
No? Why not?
Because she's too she's too much like me. We're like boy and girl versions of the same person, and it's like it's incredibly like super comfortable all the time with each other, and just like easy. My marriage is way too fucking easy. It's like,
wait, what do you mean? You're not getting yelled at every single day like most of these relationships with the people that I know?
Don't marry those ones.
You what?
Don't marry those ones. Don't marry the people that yell at you every day.
I'm not getting married. I'm not going to be convinced by all these podcast guests lately who've been telling me they've been getting married. Like I'm not convinced. I'm not getting married. I'm not going to be able to do it. But, you know,
and that's how I felt until I met the one that I married. You know, you're like, man, all relationships have these fucking snags and these tricks and these traps, and it's just not.
Yeah.
It's not right. Why would you want that forever? And then you get in a relationship that doesn't have any of that, and you're like, man, yeah, I could do this forever. Let's do this. And then you get married.
That'd be a dream, huh? That'd be the dream.
It is the dream. It's great. It has changed me for the better. I was kind of like flippant about that. It has made me kind of more comfortable and more relaxed in who I am, and not. It's made me a lot less stressed in a lot of ways. You know, I got a lot of validation from poker for a couple of years, and then it's like, wow, okay, this is the same thing, but it's not. And now I just feel, I feel better about myself most days. And I feel like, you know, it's just like a stress and a weight off your mind to find that person and to just acknowledge that this person, we're going to do this and we're committed to this for the rest of our lives. And then you just, you know, that's like, all right, it's just a thing you don't have to worry about anymore, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like I think a lot of people are stressed out about, you know, if they're a guy, stressed out about, oh, what girls am I going to find a girl? Like, I want to go date women. Is this girl the one for me? Am I going to find the one? Are we going to have a child? Am I going to have a kid? Am I ever going to get married? Like, they probably stress out about a lot of these things. And
yeah,
it sounds like, I
try not to like project my own experience too much onto other people, because different people want different things. And I don't want to be like, this is the solution. This is, you know, this is the thing that you need. But I really found that once I found, you know, good intimacy and good closeness with a person, and that kind of communication and that contact and that comfort with someone, that everything got better. You know, how I felt about myself got better, how I felt about the world got better. I was less stressed. I was pushing myself less to just kind of work and to like work for the future at the expense of my present self. I was doing that less because I was much more happy in the present. And I think that is, for me, that's super important. Like, the good intimacy is way, way better than the good sex. You know, there are a lot of adequate replacements for sex, and there are a lot of adequate replacements for a lot of things that you get in a relationship, but I don't think there's any adequate substitute for real intimacy. I didn't find one, at least, until I had the real thing. So
I could talk about this for 4 hours, but I know some of the guys out there right now, you know, they want a little bit of poker. You guys want me to talk about intimacy in the chat? Let me know if you guys want to get into this, because I'd love to actually get into that conversation. How do you think being in this relationship that you're in right now, where you guys are traveling a lot together, spending a lot of time together, how do you think that affects your poker grind? Do you think
I grind way less now. I just, like, honestly, right when I met her and I spent like a week in person with her. We chatted online a bunch before this through mutual friends and stuff, but like, I met her and I spent a week with her, and this was in early September. So I'm like, all right, I got to go home. I got to play WCOOP, because that's what I'd always done, is like, all right, this is the schedule. I gotta be on my grind for this. And I went home and I played, like, I don't know what it was, like 10 days of WCOOP or something. And I was just fucking miserable, and I just wanted to be with her in Boston. So I'm like, fuck, this is the first time I had ever been able to skip like a WCOOP or a scoop or anything to like take time to do something for myself outside of poker. And I'm just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go back to Boston and hang out with her. And ever since then, it's been like easier to not push poker so much. And I think, you know, it's definitely made me a worse poker player, because I've just not been that engaged with it. I haven't been working and grinding that hard. I haven't been kind of in the mix, in the flow of things. So I definitely like fell behind. I think I was pretty far ahead of the curve at that point. and I came back a little bit, not as far ahead of the curve now as I once was, but you know, who cares?
So you're okay with that, it sounds like.
Yeah. No, I mean, being ahead of the curve didn't make me that happy. Being like, being on top of poker, I was miserable all the time, and I was, you know, on the grind all the time. It was just not, it wasn't for me. So I am kind of okay with it. It's been like a journey to get to a point where I'm okay with it, because like poker has been a major part of my identity for a really long time now. Like a huge chunk of my life has been about I am a poker player, and now it's less and less kind of the central part of my identity, and I'm playing less and less. But and it's a weird shift to make. Anytime you lose a part of your identity, like a lot of people. I'm sure a lot of people on the podcast have graduated from university, and you're like, all right, I've been a student for since I was 6 years old, and now I'm not a student anymore. What am I? And then, you know, if you're in a relationship and the relationship ends, you're like, well, shit, I was, you know, this was a huge part of my life, and now it's just not there anymore. What am I? You know, anytime a chunk of yourself shifts or goes missing like that, it's weird, and it takes a little bit of time to recalibrate and get your balance. But I'm happier with the balance I've found now than I was before.
What do you think I guess your identity now, what do you think that is?
I guess as a husband first. I mean, I think that is the central, most important thing in my life, is that relationship with Rada. So, and I think that should be my first identity. I think being a good partner and a good unit together should be, you know, that should trump work, and that should trump, you know, basically everything else. Trying to be a person that I want to be, rather than, you know, rather than being a poker player and thinking, okay, I'm a poker player, I have to be the best poker player now. Just trying to be the person I want to be first, and then figuring out where the work piece fits in, rather than letting that work piece drive your identity, I think is much healthier. I don't really know. I kind of feel like I'm getting pulled away from poker, and I felt like I've been pulled away from poker for a long time, but I just sat at it because it was central. It was a hard thing to shift away from. So I kind of think that I'm going to stop really probably grinding in the new year. Like I'm going to try and move away from playing poker. Maybe I'll just like try and just delete Poker Stars off my computer, and try and like move on to something else, write the story or whatever. I don't really know what's going to happen next, but I think I'm going to try and find a new balance where poker's not a part of it.
You know, I don't know if many people out there are going to be able to really understand what you talked about when it comes to identity and being a poker player. But I think anyone out there who's played longer than 4 or 5 years is going to 100% understand that completely. Because that is something that I struggled personally with for a year. It was just like, you know, I came back from Australia. I was like, I'm a poker player. Like that's all I've been. That's all I've fucking done for like the past 7 years. I haven't really done much else. I've just been a poker player. And now I'm sort of thinking about, you know, I was thinking I want to stop playing less poker, and I was like, but wait, what am I going to do? Like I go from like being this poker player and, you know, being someone in what I'm doing. And then potentially you go to do something else, and you're like, am I going to be the best cleaner of my house? You know what I mean? But like you know, it's just like, I struggled with this for a while, and finally, you know, I just sort of was like, I'm just going to embrace being a poker player. I'm going to sort of stop trying to find this other thing and embrace it. And I did that for a period of time. And now I'm sort of in in a potentially transitional period where I sort of want to be like, I don't want that to be my full identity. I think as we get older, we sort of want to do some other things with ourselves too. Like we don't necessarily want to keep doing poker like we've done for the past 6 or 7 years.
I read a really interesting thing the other day about how boredom might be like, what's the word for it? It might have like an evolutionary, impetus as sort of a way to preserve our scarce resource. Because if you're not learning, if you're not developing as a person, you're not growing and doing new things, you're investing your time and energy in a way that's not going to give you as much back. It's not going to you're not going to be as robust a person if you're doing the same things over and over. So boredom is a way to, keep us from wasting time on things that we're already good at. It's weird because our society is so caught up in specialization and so focused on kind of, you become a one-dimensional person and you go narrow and deep on one thing and you become an expert at it, and the rewards get greater and greater the deeper you go on one thing. But we're conditioned to get bored and to want to learn different things and invest our time and energy in a broader section of things that we can be, more robust humans. So I find that really interesting, to think of it as like it's a way of preserving a scarce resource, which is our time and our energy.
Can you link me that article when we get done with the podcast, by the way?
Yeah, sure. I'll try and find it.
Do you feel like sort of household things you might not be as good at as because you've been so focused on poker? Like, for instance, I just learned that I should be changing my furnace filter in my place every month, and I didn't change it for like a year.
Didn't Padsy come on and like you told him how to turn on a radiator for the first time or something? Like
he said he just learned how. Like, that's what I mean. Like you sort of like you stop thinking about these quote unquote normal things that most people who like grow up and they have a family or they get their own place and like they sort of just learn these things because they have so much time to put into it or they have more time. Whereas like you're playing poker, you're not really thinking about like how do I.
Fuck it, throw $20 an hour at a maid. I don't need to learn how to clean, right?
Right, exactly. Like you don't know how to clean, you don't know how to do laundry, you don't know how to cook, you don't know how to like, fucking take care of your house, you don't know how to change anything in your car, you don't know how to do anything. And it's like you've been spending so much time getting good at poker that you've neglected all these other things, and then you sort of like snap out of it, and you're just like, how do I do this shit, man? You're like, no one taught me how to do this stuff.
I go back and forth on that a lot because like I feel like again there's this very romanticized notion of like the self-sufficient man, like the guy that goes off into the woods and chops down logs and makes his own log cabin and like hunts for his meals and stuff. And then we're just like sit on the computer all day, throw money at all our problems and make them go away type of thing, right? Yeah. And it's kind of the opposite. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, particularly, to throw money at boring problems and make them go away. You should probably still know how to switch on a radiator for like emergencies. I don't know. And like I can cook for myself. I can do my own laundry. I feel like I can adequately take care of myself in a city. But like you put me in a log cabin in the woods, I would say like probably a week before a bear gets me.
Yeah, well, it was Pads that talked about the radiator thing, right?
Yeah.
Pads, yeah, I mean, he's busy, he's a busy guy. He's doing a lot of grinding. He plays a lot of chess with different partners, and he plays
chess? I didn't know.
Yeah, he plays a podcast version of chess. We call it chess when you I don't want to say anymore about it. Well, chess is like a date. When you go on a date, like back in the olden times, like in the 1800s, people used to say, we're going to play chess as a way to get together, hang out, spend some time together, go on a date, have sex, whatever. Like that would be their way to, that would be what they
That's like the 1800s Netflix and chill is chess?
Yes, exactly. That's the 1800s. Yeah, it's like, well, you wouldn't get beat. Yeah, it's like you can't tell someone, oh, I'm going to hang out with this person, you're going to get killed. So you're like, oh, I'm going to play chess. And I guess chess was this big thing back in the day, so. Allegedly, I don't even know if I made this up. I think Jen Shahade told me on the podcast, but there's like a 10% chance I might have made that up. And if I made that up, that's a good.
There's like a 20% chance she's fucking with you too.
I wouldn't doubt it, man.
just messing with your head completely. I hope so.
Man, she is Jen Shahade. Do you have a lot of tournament poker friends? Do you keep a good network around people that you talk to a lot?
I don't talk poker that much, really. I do, like, every time I go on these tours, it's kind of fun. It's like fucking summer camp where you're like, oh, it's a bunch of people I haven't seen in a while. How's everybody doing? You know, get a bunch of hugs from old friends. But I don't really have like a network of people that I study with or that I hammer out problems with. I ended up in a chat with Padsy and a few other guys. Somehow their chat was like looking for housing in London during the EPT London. And I don't know how I ended up in it. And we shoot hands back and forth sometimes, but not really anything deeper than that. There's not a lot of, I don't have like a study group or something. I got invited to join one, and I don't know. This is one of the things that I think is helping me to kind of move away from poker, is that I always use gaming. I'm going to give you the whole like background on the psychological reason for this as well.
Let's do it.
When I was growing up, I always used gaming as kind of like an escape from the grind of like the things that I was working hard on. So I like grew up and I played Magic the Gathering, and I used that to get out of like, that was when I could just chill and just kind of not work hard on being better at something. I would just go and do it. Whereas like playing hockey and school and stuff, that was like, you know, you got to focus, your focus is always on getting better. So gaming was the one thing where it was just like go and play and have fun for me. And I've kind of treated poker the same way over the years, where it's been like, all right, go just like sit and have fun and engage and play the game for the game. And I think poker is getting more to a point where you really do have to like, you have to grind out the work. You have to be working on a lot of kind of nitty gritty stuff to you know, with all of the tools, all of the solvers, all of the GTO stuff that's coming out. People are working hard and they're getting better. And it's less about, I don't want to say it's not about playing the game, because it's still about playing the game, but it's getting a lot about the hard work that you do away from the tables is going to dictate your success. You know, there's an old Canadian phrase that the only thing that beats hard work is hard work and talent. And I think I've gotten the chance to coast on talent for a long time here. But when it comes to doing the work, it doesn't engage me like that. And, you know, I talked to some guys that they really like doing the work. They like kind of solving the problem and doing the optimization stuff. They enjoy that. And those guys are all the best. And for me, it's, I don't love that. I don't have a passion for it. I don't really want to take the game and break it down into its component pieces and try and solve it. That's not enjoyable to me. That's not my comfort zone. And so I'm faced with this kind of thing where I either have to do that, and I have to make it really a lot more work than I enjoy. And sometimes don't get me wrong, sometimes I get the impulse, I'm like, I want to look at this, I want to solve this stuff, I want to break it down. But I'm not really willing to grind it out. If I'm going to put hard work into something, I'd rather put hard work into something else and just leave the game as the game.
Do you think any of that comes from potential, not sure laziness is the quite word, but something to do with that, where it's an aspect of you feels lazy about doing that sort of thing?
Sort of, and I like jokingly call myself lazy, but I'm not lazy. Like I really do kind of, when I'm really enjoying something, I engage hard and I get good at it really fast, and I just hammer away at it. It's just not engaging anymore. And, you know, it's a question of whether I want to trade this comfortable, enjoyable experience for a grind in order to make the money or not. And I don't think I do. I don't think I want to really grind it out. And I think that's just kind of like, you can call it laziness, or you can call it like an intelligent, reasoned choice where I know myself and I don't, you know, I know what the cost is going to be to me to grind it out. Like if I really get down get down in the dirt and try and solve these things, it's going to take away any joy I have for the game, and it's going to take away any sense of comfort, any sense of relaxation I have around poker. And I'm still good enough that I can play and win some without doing that. And so it's a question of whether the incremental, whatever the incremental number is, whether it's an incremental 50K or 100K, is worth it becoming something unenjoyable. And, you know, when I was younger, I might have said, yeah, fuck it, be the best, work hard at it. Now it's, especially when I'm feeling myself pulled away from poker, when I feel myself looking to move on to other things, I don't think the investment of time and energy and misery is going to be worth making an extra 50 or 100K. You know, if I'm going to stop grinding on January 1st, 2016, it's definitely not worth it. If I'm going to still be playing a little bit on, you know, on Sundays, it's probably still not worth it. I would probably have to be grinding a full schedule for 2 or 3 years for that investment of time and discipline and willpower to show a worthwhile return. And I don't see myself doing that. So I'm going to invest my willpower and my energy somewhere else.
It's very interesting to hear you word everything in this manner, because you're basically thinking a lot of the same things and going through the same thought processes that I'm going through at poker, it sounds like. And
I think a lot of people in their late 20s are going through the same thing with poker. I don't think we're alone. You know, I've talked to at least one other person who's feeling that way. And I think it's a fairly common thing. I read an article about, I guess, professional gamers, like, you know, the guys that play whatever, Dota or Counter-Strike, and it's a lot of the same thing. Guys get burnt out by their mid-20s, and they're, you know, your peak mental and physical condition is probably behind you by your mid to late 20s. We're seeing this with a lot of sports analytics. You know, guys peak 24, 25, 26, and I'm 27 now. So I'm probably not going to have sort of the peak synapse firing of a 20 to 21-year-old working on these problems. So I'm going to be slower at it than the younger guys, and that's just, you know, that's just conditioning. That's how it works. And so I could push myself to be in there and try and still stay ahead of the curve. But a lot of people feel like they want to move on to something else, kind of less intensive when they get to this point.
do you have anything in mind for what that might be for yourself outside of, do you think writing would be the thing you spend the most time on, or is there something else in mind that you feel like you would be focusing on, or a new challenge sort of thing?
I think writing is the easiest thing for me to fall into because it doesn't require anyone else's permission. I did look at a couple of master's programs. I was looking at a master's of architecture in particular. I think it's a very competitive program, and they require a visual portfolio, which I don't really have. I'm not, you know, I think I'm a decent visual and design person, but in terms of translating the ideas in my head onto a page, I'm probably not the best. And I don't, again, it would probably take me 1 or 2 years of prep to get to a point where I could get into something like that. So I've thought about stuff in writing or design or all that kind of stuff. I think I really need to get into something on an almost everyday basis. Like right now, you know, I might try and write once a week and not much comes out type of thing. I think if I'm gonna try and write, you know, and make that, I guess, a way to support myself or something I generate income from, I need to see what happens when I'm in it every day.
I should have done this at the beginning, but let's just talk a little bit about your poker background, because I know a little bit about it, but I honestly don't follow the tournament world at all. Like the only tournament players I know are guys out in the podcast like Fedor or Timex or PLP Pertouche. So just tell people a little bit about. I guess not like you don't need like the full $50 deposit story, deposited one time, won a tournament, or grinded up a cash sort of thing. But just give like people sort of like the brief rundown about your poker experience.
Well, I just kind of shot around with sit and goes a little bit very casually and made money in, I guess, 2007 and 2008. In the summer of 2008, between years 3 and 4 at the business school at the University of Western Ontario, I kind of got down into the sort of nitty gritty of it and really hammering out the math more and trying to condition myself to play more tables and get more systematic about it. And I made like $50K that summer playing sit and goes and occasional like mid stakes tournaments. I probably peeled off about another $100K while I was in school that year and graduated in 2000 and in the spring of 2009. Yeah, I came like second in a Sunday major for 90 of it.
It was like your first year playing. I was like, man, 2007, I wasn't doing that well in my first fucking year, man.
Yeah. I just exploded for like the second half of the year. I won like $200 on a Sunday, or I think I won the 50R for my first 5-figure score. Then I won 2 different $100s on a Sunday. Those were like 20 and 40. And then I came second in a Sunday major for like 90 something. And so I had quite a bankroll left, even though I, had to pay for a chunk of tuition. And so I just kind of jumped into it right away out of school. And I went to my first EPT, I think kind of right after I graduated. I went to San Remo and Monte Carlo and blasted off both of them super quick and didn't have any success. And I didn't have any success live for quite a long time. I think I bricked like 25 or 30 tournaments without cashing over the course of 2 years. I really I hit the circuit hard. A lot of things, went on a big downswing. People figured out some stuff about me. I had to readjust. It took me a little too long. The usual stuff, I found my footing and I ended up winning an EPT in 2011. I've won a bunch of other stuff for a bunch of money. I've won, I don't know, something like 20 $100s. I have no idea. And few final tables, like second in a scoop 2K, sixth in the 10K, a third in a WPT, I think, or something. And just kind of coasted for a while. I had a lot of success in line tournaments and just kind of the weekly grind.
So you're a mixture of online and live too. You're not just really one. So it feels like a lot of guys are mainly focused on one or the other, but you sort of mix both together still.
Yeah, I mean, I think I cut my teeth as an online guy. I hit the circuit for a while live, and obviously had some success with winning a live major, and then with a third in a WPT as well. I'd say I'm more an online guy. The travel really did tire me out. I do still I don't consider myself a live grinder. I think the live grinders really grind out a lot of the circuit, and me, I'll take maybe like one trip a year nowadays.
Except for the last month and a half, you've taken 4 or 5 trips.
Well, that's one trip. It's just
okay.
Four
So that's one trip. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys are in there like every 2 weeks or something, and they're all over the fucking planet. I'll like see someone in Berlin and Malta, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna hop over to Macau in between Malta and Amsterdam Masters Classic, which is like 2 weeks apart. Just like chuck a week in China in there, be all over the planet, And then you know, and then they'll go to Five Diamond, and then they'll go to PCA, and then they'll end up like somewhere in Australia straight from PCA, and you know, crazy stuff like that. I try and, when I'm going live somewhere, I try and go to like cities that I'm going to enjoy, and try to kind of split it between, you know, play a little bit, but also have some vacation, and don't like, I'm not one of those guys that's like, all right, I got to fire fucking 10 side events. I have to be in everything every day. What you kind of have to do to make these like really good, profitable trips, because the rake of like travel expenses and hotels and stuff and eating out every day that's really high rake for, you know, just playing 1 or 2 events. So if you want to make a profit at these things, you have to be firing, you know, like 30 or 40 or 50K in buy-ins per stop, really, to be consistent at it. And me, I'll go and just like fire 1 or 2 things and then enjoy a vacation. And, you know, it's probably not a great fiscal fiscal decision, but I enjoy the vacation a little bit too. So I'm willing to pay the cost for that. Rather than going to like Macau or some, like, you will never fucking find me in Atlantic City ever. I don't care how good the tournaments are. You can't do it to me.
Not gonna be able to do it. All right, Atlantic City, huh? You don't like AC? It's so. Let me think of the word I want to use to describe Atlantic City. It's so something. It's something there. It's a time.
It's dusty. It's dusty and dirty. It's like being in the fucking Walking Dead, except all the zombies are slot machines, right?
Wow. I mean, the Borgata is pretty nice. I like the Borgata. No, I like the Borgata. Shout out to the Borgata. They treat me nice. I like the Borgata. It's a nice place.
I mean, like the inside of a casino.
That's what I mean.
Somewhat
I didn't go outside. I'm not talking about walk. I haven't walked outside the Borgata ever. Okay, I just been inside Borgata the whole time. That's it.
Yeah, but you know, like the Borgata is not Atlantic City. There's not like a fucking city hall in the middle of there somewhere, like down in the bowels of the Borgata. There are like, you know, there is a world outside casinos, Joey.
Yeah. Well, can't say I'm gonna find out I'm in Atlantic City though.
I can't say I blame you.
There was a lot of discussion in the chat about who was, if in the mirror was a person or if it was a reflection of you, and someone was insistent it was a reflection of you, and we actually just saw it's your wife, and now the chat's excited because they were wondering who was in the mirror. Like, kept seeing someone in the mirror, but they didn't know who it was. So they're we have a girlfriend. Hold on, we have a girlfriend. We love girlfriend wife appearances on the podcast.
I'm sure this is a very exciting time for your followers. Let's see if we can get my dog in here too.
We love the dogs too, of course.
Come here. I'm going to see if I can pick him up. He doesn't really love being picked up.
Get him on the chair. Squinch and get him on the chair.
Cassie, come on. Come here. He knows what's going to happen, and he's avoiding it like the plague. Come on. Come on. Come here, buddy.
Is your camera? Is it the camera on the laptop?
Yeah. Here we go. Oh, he's like pressing buttons out.
What's up, little puppy?
Say hi to your viewers.
What's the name? What's the dog's name?
Kazakh, the Hound of Space.
Of course it's that.
All right, let's go down. Let's go down, buddy. Sorry. He was not having fun. Well, he pressed like a bunch of buttons. I don't know what the fuck is happening with my computer now.
We can still see. We see the V-neck line. We see the pectoral muscles. We see what's going on here.
Let me flex a little bit for you guys.
Okay. What's happening out there? Okay. All right, guys. Please, anyone who's watched all the episodes, please let me know where Ben's dog ranks in the dog appearance power rankings list. And I know
it's number 1. It's not even fucking close.
I know it's going to be ahead of Brian Rastock, who just barked the whole fucking time on the podcast. Shout out to Gucci. I know he's out there barking somewhere right now in Las Vegas. You guys are shut up. And yeah, let me know what you guys think here. Let me read some comments here. Let's go to some comments, see what we got people saying here. Luis and Gimme the Apples say MTT rankings. They love power rankings, man. They don't give a fuck about wisdom. They just want rankings. They want hand histories. That's what they want.
Okay.
Some of
What-
these
what are
guys,
the-
not all the guys. I like the other stuff, but these guys want the power rankings. Give them some
All
power.
right. Number 1 is Fader Holes, and number 2 is everybody else. That's my power rankings. I have no fucking idea. Like, I don't grind anymore. I don't like see these guys in there day to day. I have no idea. I just know Fader's the best.
Number 1, Fedor Holes. Number 2, everybody else.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like, I play basically Sundays and occasionally Tuesdays. So I feel like most of the guys that are really actually the best they've realized that you can play fucking 50K super high rollers and you can just get so much more value out of like a 50-person field with 5 or 6 fish than you can like grinding out $200 MTTs online. So the best are probably people you don't even know about, or like who just don't deign to even bother playing. Like fucking Ben86 just doesn't even play tournaments, sits down and peels off the 50K online, which is supposedly the toughest tournament ever, right? Like those guys are just better. And it was like him, Fish 2013, who's like I guess a 25-50 crusher. It's just like the people who are the best at poker will just sit down and bash MTTs if they deign to step down in our dirt for a little bit. So the best are people who don't even bother playing and grinding on a regular schedule because it's not worth it if you're the best.
I think Fedor is the best. What do you think is the best? Is it to quantify, or is it just the results speak for themselves sort of thing?
I've talked to him a little bit, and he just seems he's very like clued in and clicked in, and it really seems easy for him. But I also know that that he probably works harder than a lot of people at it, and yeah, I don't know. Maybe I am being colored by results. Maybe he's just like a middle of the road grinder and just on the heater of the fucking century. But I kind of doubt it.
I want to. This tightly ties into what we were talking about earlier. So I want to read something. You see a recent tweet that he made out?
Sorry?
Have you seen any of his tweets he made recently?
Fedor?
Yeah.
I saw him tweeting about like trying to be. What was it? Like.
He said the lesson of my life this year: you can't spread positivity if you don't feel it yourself. Work on yourself first. I'm on it. And
right,
I think,
like positivity.
Right, I think it kind of ties into what you're talking about earlier, just about like, even if you're really, really good at poker, you're doing really well at poker, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to make you feel like you're happy or you're positive or you're fulfilled or whatever. And you can still struggle with that things even if you're debatably one of the best at what you do.
Yeah, and I think that he seems to have the right attitude about it, which is work on yourself first and work on these other things after. I think in terms of like actually personal happiness, first of all, like be the person that you want to be first and let the rest come to you. Like don't chase like whatever idea of success you have in life. First of all, it's wrong. For sure it's wrong. Don't chase success. Don't chase girls. Don't chase life. Be the person that you want to be, and then the rest of life will come to you. I promise you. So I think he's got it. He just is a clued in person. He's just dialed in, and I think he's got it figured out. And these young fucking 20-year-olds that are better than me at poker and better than me at life and better looking than me just fucking drive me nuts. I just want to choke him every time I see him.
Come on, man. You got a cool, a bad looking guy. You got that sick beard happening, man. That's a good look for you.
Thanks. Every time I go to Russia, I feel like, all right, I have to look as much like a bear as possible so that her dad will like me. And then it just keeps going. I think I might just like, maybe I'll just not shave until I'm done writing a fucking novel. And then I'll just like have a big scraggly beard and be hunchbacked from typing on the computer all day. And I'll look very artistic.
Yeah, I think the beard makes you look a lot more artistic. Although I haven't. Yeah, I feel like I've seen the pictures of you without the beard. You look much more artsy, much more writery, much more, art novel-y, painter-ish right now than you might otherwise look.
Yeah, I don't look like I'm some dickhead with an office job who has to shave, right? I look like I'm my own man.
Gus says this guy looks like Scott Disick. Disick, the guy from Keeping Up with the Kardashians. That's a compliment. If that's definitely a compliment, because that's
I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean he's kind of.
I'm just saying that I watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians every day, but I have to pretend I have no idea.
What is it like? You mentioned having to meet a Russian father. Like, I imagine that's different than meeting a North American father for the first time. Same thing.
I mean, people are just people. It's a little bit weird because I mean, English is the second language, but we communicate well, and I feel very comfortable. He's just like a good person. He's just like a nice, welcoming, family-oriented person. So it wasn't that, it wasn't really intimidating. We have kind of the same attitude. Like we both like to joke about things. He likes to mess with his kid's head. So actually, funny story. We were on the airplane on the tarmac the other day, and I was going to the bathroom, and Ryder's like, but where does it go? I'm like, what do you mean, where does it go? And like when she was 6 years old, her dad told her that like when she goes to the bathroom on the airplane, they just like drop it out of the sky. It just bomb turds on people from 30,000 feet. And she just figured out that there was a tank on this trip. For
There's no way she's been thinking that. Yeah. There's no chance she's been thinking that. There's no chance. She literally thought they dropped the feces out of the airplane at 30,000 feet in the air.
Come look at her face right now and tell me she didn't actually think. Doesn't she look like?
That's what you really thought that.
She can't hear you. I've got headphones on, but yes, she really thought that.
Give
everybody a thumbs up. Yes. Give everybody a thumbs up. See?
Wow.
She acknowledges. So like, yeah, her dad's like a funny, guy that jokes around with his family, and so I'm kind of the same way. So it's very like, it's easy. We're on the same wavelength, all of us.
I like this, Dad, man. Are you thinking about having kids anytime soon? Is that something that's sort of like the next progression of life, of a relationship?
We've talked about it, but Red is still. We're still working on her residency in Canada, and she hasn't really started working yet. And she wants to have her career kind of, in a groove before she gets into that. And we're still not sure. We talked about having kids. We talked about adopting because there are needy kids in the world, and why do we need to fucking create our own when we could take someone that needs our help instead? I'm still not sure how I feel whether I want kids, but this isn't a decision we have to make right now. This is an ongoing discussion. We grow up, people change. The things that you want change. So we know not right now, and then in the future.
Yeah, I think I'm a little older than you, so I get a lot of pressure from my parents all the time. Joe, thinking about when you're gonna have kids soon. I'm like, I don't know, want to get anybody pregnant, Mom. Like, I'll be happy to wait and get the right person pregnant rather than just get somebody pregnant because I need to have a child because I'm getting old.
Yeah. I do. I think all parents give their kids a little nudge when. How old are you? You're like 30 something.
30.
You're 30. Yeah. So you're a couple years older than me. We get the nudge too. We get the like, oh, isn't that kid cute from my mom? And like, oh.
Oh no.
But she also understands that we are our own people and that we need to be at a place where she doesn't want a grandchild that's like brought into the world in a place where there's that's not ready for it. That's not healthy for the kid. So we're gonna do it on our own terms if we do it.
So I've read a lot about your guys' ongoing adventure trying to get this whole entire citizenship situation.
Oh Jesus Christ.
I'm like, you guys need like testimonials that it's like an official thing because it sounds like she's Russian, you're Canadian. It sounds like that they want to prevent this sort of like this marriage just for citizenship type of thing. So you need to like show chat logs of everything.
Yeah, we have like a 4,000-page document of every Facebook message we had sent up to that point, and like we need to pare it down to I don't know how many fucking pages. I don't know what they want. And then like every picture of us together, every plane ticket we've taken together, all the trips, I need to like show that she is the beneficiary on my like retirement savings plan and shit like that. Like, they want to see like do you guys share a bank account? Do you guys share credit cards? What's going on? Like I think one of the things I learned is like every purchase that we've made for each other, and like just fucking look at my credit card bill from the past 2 years, like everything, just like everything. It's nuts. It's so much paperwork, and they don't accept digital submissions. Like it's all paper, which is crazy to me. Like it's just wasteful and like insanely in depth. And it, like, how much does just like tear the borders down? How much could it really cost? Can it really cost more than this bureaucracy to just have people, move wherever they want to be, wherever that it's safe, wherever it's work, and like let things hit an equilibrium? It's stupid. But we have to do it.
What's the timetable like for you guys to potentially get this all taken care of and get it out of your mind, stop worrying about it, stop thinking about it?
We want to be done by December 22nd, I believe, because there's a program that is ending, or like the pilot of that program is ending in terms of extending work permits to people while their residency is pending. So we want to get in before that so that we can get on that program so Rana can start working, because she wants to do that. So we have like a month to go, and we've like dropped a few K on a lawyer to help us organize it and just like get everything to make sure it's done right. Because if it's not done right the first time, then you're in for a real fucking treat trying to figure it out the next few times after she's already had an application rejected. So we just like dropped some money on somebody to help us organize this, because it's a huge pain and a ton of work, and like someone to keep us kind of accountable and keep us on pace to meet that deadline.
Yeah, I think a lot of poker players are dealing with similar things. I know a lot of poker players went down to Colombia, found themselves a nice mamacita. They wifed up.
I know the Costa Rica was the spot for MTT grinders. There's a bunch of guys in Costa Rica that got wifed up, and a bunch of guys. I think the Germans all have like Asian wives or something. I met like a bunch of guys from Team Germany that ended up in like the Philippines or wherever, and I don't know what it is. Like everyone's got their own little groove they hit, but yeah, that stuff is it's hitting a lot of people, and I think as the internet becomes kind of broader and more popular, both as a way for people to work, when people can work from the internet and when people can meet people from the internet, it's just going to get bigger and bigger, because people are going to be interacting across these national boundaries much more. It would be fucking unheard of in my parents' day. You would like look around you. There's a girl. Let's get married, right? Because that's your scope. That's your range. Is what's around you physically. You're not gonna like fall in love by fucking mail. So, but now
you could.
I guess maybe it happened, but there's more and more. I wonder if there were fucking like mail scams like that, like send me $50 for and that's like $100,000 in those days times or whatever, so I can travel to America to finally meet you type of thing. And these people just like bombing out like the Nigerian prince scam, but with like mail order wives from some country, just trying to get people to send them money.
I think they have like magazines where they put the ads in the back of the magazine or something like that, and the guy has to mail them money, or the wife can come over. They call up the 900 hotline, and it was $2.99 a minute or something like that.
No, I'm talking about like pre phone line days.
Pre-phone line. So you're saying like back
in the day. I bet this happened. I bet there was like some people got scammed by like mail love letter services that are like, just send me $50 so I can come to America, and that's enough to buy a fucking house or something. I don't know.
For the 1.7% of my demographic out there who is over the age of 60, according to YouTube analytics, please get in touch with me. Let me know if this happened. I'd like to know. I'm going to ask people.
You know that 60 years ago people had phone lines, right?
Yeah, it's true.
You're going to need to go solidly into the dead demographic to figure this one out.
Well, at my gym, there's a couple 80-year-olds that work out there in the morning time, so I'm going to ask them next time I see them.
We're gonna have to like do some historical research. The phone has been around since before. Never mind, Joey. I don't have time.
Wait, when was the phone officially invented?
The phone was invented in the 1800s.
How the fuck are we, Kev? How are we gonna find this out?
I don't know. Fucking historical newspaper archives, maybe.
All right,
maybe
listen. Anybody out there over the age of 120, please get in touch with me. I have some questions for you. Okay. I need to get to the bottom of this. I need to figure this out.
What the fuck were we talking? Oh, right. People meeting across boundaries. So yeah, the internet's becoming more popular and it's going to become more and more of a thing where like we can have like a conversation, a face-to-face conversation. You can actually meet people that are across physical borders much more easily. And more of these relationships are going to form and the system is just not adequately prepared to deal with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sounds like it's, but it sounds like it's almost done at least. So it sounds like you're on the other
We're
side
on the path to it getting done, but it's a pain in the ass.
Let me find some other comments here on YouTube. We've been getting some interesting ones today. Normally we got YouTube and Twitch going on, but Twitch not being nice here today. So let's see.
What's up with Twitch?
What is up with Twitch? Do you Twitch?
No. I thought about it for a while, but then I just didn't. I don't know.
No.
No. Do you Twitch poker as well, or do you just Twitch the podcast?
I just Twitch the podcast. I don't like streaming myself playing PLO. It just seems much. I streamed myself playing PLO one time. I was playing a couple tables of 5-10 on ACR, and one of the guys was in the game with me. Like we're playing three-handed, so he's seeing like what I'm doing every time. Like it's just the dumbest fucking thing ever. Like it's so dumb. I guess streaming tournaments, maybe it could be different, but
yeah, I mean people can't bum hunt you in tournaments, and if you do it with a long enough delay, then but. I guess I could do that. Maybe I should do that. Sound off in the comments, guys. You want to see me Twitch and just like blast off?
I think they do. I think they want to see you Twitch. I kind of like Twitch. Jimmy Stapler went deep in the Sunday warm-up the other day, and that was kind of fun to watch. Like it's fun to watch someone go deep in the tournaments.
Yeah, tournaments are fun when you're deep in them. It's like entertaining.
How often do you go deep in a lot, though? I think you don't go deep in a lot, right?
I mean, it depends what your definition of deep is. Generally, no, because, deep is like the top 5% of the tournament or whatever. And if you're really good, you make it there 7% of the time, I guess. I don't know. I haven't looked at my stats recently. I think I had like a lower in the money percentage than most people and like a lower deep rod percentage than most people, but like then I win more than I get second and third combined or something. I don't know. So yeah, I haven't been playing much at all, so it's tough to say. Like I had a few kind of deepest runs during WCOOP, and then I've played probably like 200 tournaments since then or something. I don't know.
A couple people on Twitch said yes to Twitch. We'd love to. Yes, we want. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well,
Andre Mecca. I don't know. Thoughts on live super. I know Andre coming in the chat all the time. Thoughts on live super high roller scene.
I haven't really played any of the super high rollers. The biggest things I've fired off has been like 10K Euro tournaments. I think it's good for the top, kind of the very top of the game. It's good for the super rich fish, and it is kind of good for the community in terms of like keeping money circulating in the poker economy. Because if you have guys that are casual players that want to play against the best in the world, and it doesn't really matter to them whether they're playing at 10K, 25K, or 50K, then you might as well be playing at 50K because it's better for everyone's hourly and it keeps more money circulating in the poker economy. And it does kind of trickle down a little bit if these guys back or something, but most of them are over it and they just keep all the money to themselves. So fuck them. I don't know. I haven't played any of them. I guess I played Premier League one year. I like won a satellite to the 125K, and that was it was kind of an okay experience. That was a really, really tough, super high roller. I think it's good for the fans of the game. It's good for the guys who have tons of money and want to play against the best in the world, and it's good for the guys who are the best in the world. And I don't really think it affects the rest of everybody so much. I guess you could argue that it grows the game and it gets more people interested, but I don't really see a lot of, in the old days, like in the Moneymaker boom, it was like people playing the World Series of Poker main event and like some accountant wins. And they're like, fuck, I could do that. I'm an accountant. I could, and nowadays poker is moving away from that kind of aspirational, that kind of like, hey, I could do that. I could be in there with these guys. I don't think there's that much anymore unless you just have all the fucking money, like these guys that can fire off 50Ks and not care. I think it's a very sort of exclusive party that a lot of people aren't invited to. Whereas the World Series main event, when that was like the biggest aspirational thing on the poker tour, was something that like everybody could do. These 50Ks are not. And there's no, at least I don't think there's online satellites to these 50K tournaments type of thing. And I don't really see anyone that's like aspiring to jump in these 50Ks and play with the best. So in that sense, I don't like it, but I understand that it's kind of, as an observer in terms of television numbers, it can be really fun. So it's good for those people. And if it's not good for me, I am not all of poker, and I can deal with there being some things that other people enjoy that aren't good for me.
I'm sure you've thought about playing the high roller, selling action, but you why have you not decided to go ahead and do that?
I've tried to sell action to a couple of, 25Ks on this last trip, and I sold at a price that I thought was kind of was fair and reasonable. I was selling at like 1.05 or 1.07 or something to the 25Ks, and nobody was interested. And so one of two things is true if nobody's interested at that price. One is that I'm overvaluing myself and my edge is not that great in these things. The other possibility is that the market is undervaluing me. And it is very difficult to tell with these things where your actual ROI is on the spectrum. If I'm overvaluing myself and if my ROI is like sub 5% in these or whatever, then it's not really worth it to play. Like to play 25K for a tiny edge, a 1 or 2% edge, that's like $250 or $500 of edge. When you could just, like, I could play an online session that day and have an expectation at or about that, or I could just, do a couple of hours of coaching or whatever and have the same expectation. And obviously if my actual expected ROI is in the, 10% to 12% region, then it's worth it to play. But if nobody's going to buy it, then I'm not going to just fire off a 25K bullet by myself.
Mumming in the chat said, "Is it true that some people have like 1% of themselves in the 50Ks? Seems quite LOL to pay $500 to play in a 50K." Allegedly, maybe.
I don't know. Like I wouldn't be surprised if there's some people that have 1%. But keep in mind that the guys that have 1% of themselves probably aren't paying $500 to play in a 50K. They're probably getting paid to play in the 50K, because if they sell 99% at 1.03 or whatever, then they are guaranteed to make money and they get to play what might actually be a soft tournament for them. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Maybe they're just piling their money into other investments and playing with a very tiny percentage of themselves. Have like 1% of yourself in a tournament, get paid like an appearance fee, whatever, $500 to play, and then have like $500 of action in a tournament where you have 10% ROI. That's a pretty good day.
That'd be interesting if some people are really making a living like that. I mean, I don't follow what's happening to, I guess you never really know. You don't really know what's happening behind the scenes, who's selling action, who's selling action to friends.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're actually in the business with them, you don't really know what percentage of people have them themselves. I think it's a pretty reasonable decision to play a lot of these 50Ks if you think you have an edge, and have a very small percentage of yourself and sell a lot at a small markup, and basically, you know, be in. It's a pretty good deal to play like a 50 or 100 person tournament where you have, you know, a small, or like small edge being relative. Like you're not going to, you know, like a 5 to 10% edge as opposed to whatever you're getting in EPT mains. But much smaller fields, the variance is going to be a lot lower. And if you're free rolling or close to free rolling, that's probably a good way to make much more consistent money than playing a bunch of EPT mains with, you know, 600 or 700 or 1,000 people, and having a huge edge, but having the variance be nuts.
Yeah. You know, it's sort of, I think to a lot of people that don't understand poker, when you think about a professional poker player being in the poker world, like, you don't really realize that like things like this are happening, where there are these guys playing these really high stakes tournaments, or even playing these low stakes tournaments who like don't have any money. They don't have any money for themselves. Like, they're professional poker players that have no money, or they're getting paid, you know, a small fee. They have 1% of themselves in these tournaments, and a lot of people don't even realize like that's possible or that's even going on. And you know, I never even knew it was happening in tournament world for a long time, and it's all really hear about different ways that people approach playing poker for a living and being a tournament player for a living.
Sorry, you're lagging a bit here. I missed the last part of that.
I think it's I just think it's interesting that how many different ways you can make a living playing professional poker, and how many different ways, especially in tournament world, you can be a professional tournament player and still be considered or call yourself a professional poker player and survive and live day to day and have money to pay for things.
Yeah, I mean, it's really not that different from having any other office job where, you know, an office job takes all the risk of the company away from you, and you kind of grind. They pay you to show up and pay you to grind out something that creates value, and then they capture a lot of value for themselves. So being a back player is just kind of like having any other employment agreement where you create some value, and they take on the risk and they harness some of that value for themselves.
I used to be very on the other side of backing. Now I think if you play high stakes cash, back's the way to go. Like, if you can get staked, get staked. It is stress-free living, man. It's
Yeah, I mean, the swings can be really killer. And I imagine the PLO swings. I imagine you've seen some insane ups and downs of swings, and like, I think my worst downswing is probably like 100K downswing. I just remember being super, super miserable. I'm like, fuck, I just torched $100,000. Like, what is my life? Am I going to do this anymore? Like, am I going to jump off a fucking bridge? I don't know. And, you know, removing that aspect of that stress is probably like really good for a lot of people, especially if you don't play your peak game when you're stressed, which is really, really hard to do. And stress is just super unhealthy. Like, it's just bad for you in so many ways. And so taking that stress away from yourself is very, very valuable just for life enjoyment and for life quality.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I go back to in my head when, you know, I think about, you know, having these 100K upswings, 100K downswings, and like just the stress that you have in your head on like a day-to-day basis. You're just like you're literally, I mean, I've already jumped off a bridge for like 3 months straight basically. And, you know, kind of, it can't be good, man. I certainly, I know I don't play well when in that state of mind. I can't imagine a lot of people play that well. I mean, the best ones that are around having 100K swings probably do, but I don't think most people can handle it, and then they, you know, get themselves out of the action playing that high.
Yeah, I mean, everyone thinks that they can handle it better than they do. Like, I think that I can handle it way better than I do, probably. I try to depersonalize the money, and I try and accept that it's just part of the game, but it's hard to just lose. It's hard to go to work and like go to work every day and put in your best and like come back with less than you gave and be like, all right, let's do it again tomorrow. Pile up those Sklansky bucks and just, yeah, it really grinds on your soul a little bit.
Yeah. Epic Hazeltime says, Joey, you look tired. Are you on drugs? I just got out of bed a couple of 30 minutes before the podcast. I was playing basketball last night for 4 hours. I went to bed. I don't know, man. I'm getting in these basketball addict modes again. So I went to bed a little bit late, and maybe my eyes are a little bit red. But no, I'm not on drugs. I did not do heroin before the podcast. Allegedly, I did not go do a line of coke in the living room on the beanbag chair like Hollywood Haxton before this. No, I didn't do it. So if that makes you feel better, thank you for the question. I appreciate that. I think it was the lighting. Watch this, guys. If I turn this light down a little bit, now I look a little bit more haggard in the eye. It's all lighting. I'm telling you. Then you put it up, and you look more like Blossomy in the face. So it's the lighting can really do wonders for you guys if you're out there.
You need like a makeup girl in there to just like dust up your eyes a little bit, you know, make you look fresher, make you look more vital before you do these.
You ever worn makeup, Ben?
When we did the Premier League, when we played the Premier League, it was like a television spot. So they had like makeup and hair people that you had to go to before you played. It was really fucking surreal experience. It was weird.
Did you like it?
No, it was. I'm beautiful enough as it is. Like, why would they do that to me? Why would they cover this up?
When I went through a little bit of time in Australia when I was going to a lot of festivals with a friend of mine, and she liked to get really dialed up and like get like her face painted for that. So I experimented with this makeup thing for a bit of time,
But this is like face painting, like war paint type of thing, right? Not just like blush and mascara.
That's how it started. That's how it started. But then she's like, why don't you you should try wearing makeup sometimes. Like, see how loud. I'm like, that sounds fucking weird, But at the time, we weren't in the right state of mind, and there was a lot of crazy things happening. So I tried it a couple times, and I gotta tell you, man, it makes you look. It does some wonders for your fucking face. It's crazy.
Do you feel better about yourself when you do it?
No, I felt weird. Like everyone knows I'm wearing makeup right now. It's just like really, it was like like she.
That's why you got to do that natural makeup stuff. That's really hard to do because then nobody knows, right? This is the trick that girls do. They do the natural makeup, and then it looks like they're supposedly not wearing makeup, but it's like next level makeup.
Makeup GTO. What do you mean? What is this natural makeup thing?
Let's get Rada on the podcast to tell us all about natural makeup. Hang on.
Okay.
You got to tag in here because we're talking about makeup with Joey. What is natural makeup?
Well, I did have a podcast today, so I'm not wearing any makeup. What is natural makeup?
How does it work?
Natural makeup
Explain it to us.
Do you mean for you guys or for girls? I mean, you just you take your skin colors and you make your skin color even, and then you don't do things like you don't put like colorful things on your eyes. Instead, you just make sure that see how Benny has like a little bit of under eye, yeah, and so do I, and so do probably you, but I can't see really well. So you cover that up, you make it all look like a doll a little bit. You make your lips look bigger, but you take the same color, you just make them big, and then you can tell how big they really are. You never know.
Bigger lips is the trend. That's the move.
I think what I'm going to do is for a podcast in the future, I'm going to try to wear natural makeup and see if people can identify which podcast I'm wearing. If you guys spot me when I have natural makeup on, I'll give you guys $500. Whoever spots it first, I'll give them $500 in the future. On a future podcast, I'm going to do a natural makeup look.
And for the boys, I think it's going to be the jawline. My guess would be you guys would outline your jawline.
Contouring, right? I know about this. You do contour makeup.
There you go. You just change your face shape a tiny bit.
See, this is the stuff you get when you're married. You get to learn all about this whole other world that you knew nothing about. Girls aren't going to tell you their makeup secrets when you're dating, because that's their secrets. That's how they get ahead of the game. The makeup forums are completely dead. By the way, nobody's sharing secrets anymore. It's like high stakes cash forums 4 years ago. They realized they were giving away their age.
You're spending a lot of time in makeup. Hang on,
I'm gonna throw my headphones back in. Thank you for that makeup tutorial, Rada.
Thank you. For real. Seriously, that was very nice of you. Do you spend a lot of time in the makeup forums?
Me or her?
Well, maybe you spend some time in the makeup forums with this contour GTO.
No. I see like she watches videos. There was this one really fun one where they had guys doing contour makeup on their chests to make it look like they had boobs.
Oh.
And yeah, it was really funny. It was and then they were comparing their boobs to each other. It was quite entertaining. So yeah, I like pick up makeup tutorials from her. I pick up because we just like spend all our time together. So whenever she's on YouTube, she fires up like painting tutorials or anything. So I learn about how to do a whole bunch of stuff that I would never know how to do it otherwise.
What else have you learned from having a wife? What else have you picked up from her that you might not have learned before?
That I have a big dick. Because before her, I watched way too much porn, and I thought I was like average or below average, but it turns out it's actually quite large.
Wait a second, let's back up. Wait a second, back up. Okay, so you picked up you had a big dick.
Yeah, I wasn't actually aware of this. Girls had told me before, but I thought it was just like all girls probably say that to make their guys feel good. But you know, when you trust someone completely,
you a Mandingo fan, kid, or what?
No, but you know, it's just it skews your perspective when you watch porn because it's a lot of it is just like, you know, it's easier to shoot when it's bigger. You can't fucking shoot a porno with a guy with a micro penis because nobody can see anything, you know. And then, you know, they use the angles. They use a bunch of that forced perspective stuff like they did on Gimli and Lord of the Rings. and so, but like, yeah. So I'd been told before, but I just wrote it off as like bedroom talk, whatever. But when you trust someone and they tell you, then, you know, it really makes you feel good inside.
Ben, you know what? When people make claims like you just made, we ask them for receipts, right? When someone comes on here, we talk about have a big dick. People want to they want to see.
Are they actually saying in the chat that they want to see my dick? We're not on Twitch. I guess we could whip it out. Hey, sweetie, give me a little fluff here. 1 second.
What happened to the PG-13?
All right, guys, we're going to take this part to Chatterbait. Actually, we're going to go on Chatterbait here. You're going to chance to see Ben's dick. I got to pay him in 25 gold coins. And you guys look dick off. We haven't had a dick off segment in quite a long time since Star Trek Problems. But we'll not be having a dick off today on the podcast.
No, we're gonna. I'll start a Chatterbait podcast for you guys that want to see my dick.
This is why I love the podcast. You know, it has a nice range of topics.
What if you just went on Chatterbait, but you were on Chatterbait and just doing this podcast, and there was no nudity at all, and people flipping through Chatterbait trying to jerk off just came across this poker podcast, and we're like, "What the fuck? Somebody take their shirt off."
You know what, Ben? I'm gonna do one podcast on Chatterbait over the next 2 months.
Beautiful. Let me know, because I want to tune in and I just want to watch the chat box and see what happens when people like stuff. Chatterbait is like chat roulette, right? You can kind of like stumble upon things and like just run into like random stuff.
I'm only going to tell you what I've heard from friends. I don't know anything, so I think
of course you don't.
I think how Chatterbait works is they have a directory of people you can click on, and they have like a preview of the person. You could click on there, get in the chat room, then you can take them to a private show for some extra money, or if they go private, something like that, or you can buy things, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, something like that, of course, Joey.
Listen, I've looked into it as a potential career. If poker went down, I was going to have sex with women on Chatterbait for a living.
I think that's all of our plan Ds. When Amaya goes busto and the roof drops out of this thing, then we're just going to be flooded with a bunch of GTO fucking analysts on Chatterbait.
I'm surprised that doesn't exist already, to be honest with you. Maybe it does and we just don't know, but I'm surprised there's not like a breakdown of like some sort of something like that. Maybe there is. I don't know. I'd like to watch it though if there is out there. So someone
the optimal sex for a camera.
Right, like the optimal way to have sex, optimal all those things. I'm surprised that doesn't exist.
It does. When you get a wife, you find out all about it.
Waluigi says, to be fair, he looks like the kind of guy who turns up to fix your boiler but ends up banging your missus.
That's absolutely not true. I do not know how to fix a boiler.
Who's bigger, him or Dong or Kim's? They gotta have a dick off. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I hear he's the nicest guy in the world, so I don't want to trash talk, but I'm big.
Well, his name is BDDK, so Let me go up here in the chat and see what else we got here. Big Broy says, watching from Roma, Italy. Arrivederci, papi. Cita. What's up, puppy? Thank you for watching, man. Let's see what else we got up here. Waluigi says, yo, papi, I'm late. How long has this sickness been running? You got to figure that out for yourself. Use your sight observation ability and look at the screen, and you can be able to figure out how long this has been running, my friend.
Are people going to be able to replay this, by the way?
Of course. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This will get a couple thousand views, I'm sure. People will enjoy it. People will enjoy it much. Let me go back up. Let me keep going up here. Let me see what else I missed. No one is playing in 50K with 99% action sold nowhere. Kushtrain knows. He knows for sure. Okay. I trust you, Kushtrain.
He knows.
He knows.
If he knows, he knows. People are so fucking certain about it. How do you be that certain about anything? Like, the things that I'm most certain about in the world, I'm probably like 85%.
I say the same thing when people like talking about like daily fantasy sports. Whenever I do a Twitch stream about daily fantasy sports, people come in like, no, this is not the play. I'm like, how do you know that? Like, how can you just come in here so confidently say like I have that opinion on this type of thing? Like, no, that's not going to happen. I just never.
Well, what amazes me is when two very smart people who know the other person is like also very smart are arguing and they're both 100% certain. Like, you know, this other person is very smart. They might be like almost as smart as you or slightly smarter, and you probably don't know. You're not going to be right more than like 50, you know, if you two disagree on something and you're equally smart, it should be like a coin flip. You're probably right 50% of the time. But you see two people who like acknowledge that they are equally as smart as one another arguing, and they're both like, I'm 99% certain I'm right. And it's, how can you not understand that you can't both be that certain? And like, how do you not acknowledge the other person's perspective as like potentially having value when you know that they're a smart person? How do you do that? Like,
don't you feel like with the really smart people, like one of them always acknowledges the other guy is smarter than one person? Like out of the two of them, one of them always will tell you like, oh, that he's smarter than me or he's smarter than me.
I think that that definitely happens sometimes, but the gap has to be really huge for people to do that, because everyone is inside their own head and they know like how good their thought process is, and it's really hard to know exactly how smart someone else is unless you get really like into their thought process a lot. And you know, also intelligence isn't linear. It works on a whole bunch of different planes, and there's a whole bunch of different kinds of intelligence. So, I mean, smarter than somebody it's really a nonsensical thing to say, because like, are you smarter than them in all like 30,000 different ways that you can be intelligent? But like when, you know, if you're arguing about a fairly specific topic, no, I think that like, if you acknowledge that someone is smarter than you, they are probably a lot the gap is probably a lot bigger than you think. Like to be certain that someone's smarter than you, they're probably way fucking smarter than you in ways that you can't even comprehend.
Yeah, I think that's it's interesting when I talk about like being smart with people, or if someone's smart and you know, maybe some good poker players, like they're smart, but they're smart about poker. They're not smart about a bunch of other things in life. Like when they talk about poker, they might sound like a genius. They talk about a ton of other things. They're fishing hard. They're fishing hard, basically, when they try to have a conversation about other things. So,
yeah, and then a lot of guys that this is a weird phenomenon, like inside the poker world, where I feel like a lot of guys who are better at poker and know they're better at poker than someone think like they discount that person's opinion on other things because they think they're smarter than them, which is like super weird to me. That you're like, yeah, you're a better poker player than someone, but they can be better at a lot of things than you, and like you're not just there's this weird like social hierarchy dynamic where you kind of defer, you know, if you're inside the poker world, people end up deferring to people who are better at poker than them on a bunch of other things too, which is really
that's true. Oh yeah, for sure. It's like you're watching sports, the guy who's the best poker player, his opinion matters more. It is pretty wild how it works. Like it's like, you know, people they take the high stakes Nolan players, the high stakes PLO players who post in the forums. They take these guys' word for something and like totally unrelated to poker,
Yeah.
But, like it's interesting. Like it's always seems like it's been like that too, where the high stakes guys, like what they say sort of carries more weight in people's mind when it's not related to poker at all.
Yeah, it's weird as hell.
It's like that in the tournament world too. Like I feel like with tournament, like if you have like a guy goes deep in a couple of tournaments, like all of a sudden they're cooler, or they're this or they're that. Like they win one tournament, like they're like they want to be like come in the clique or something like that. It kind of seems like that from the outside looking into it.
I don't know about win one tournament, because there's a lot of guys that have peeled off one tournament. But I think there's like a lot of, I don't know, like when I first started playing poker, and like nobody really, I think nobody knew quite what I was about, but I was just crushing and winning piles. And people would look at me like, ooh, he's like this weird, mysterious, like he's so good. What does he think about other things? And I was like, not much really, because I was just like so entrenched in poker. I didn't really, but like people would ask me for opinions on other things that were not poker related. And I was kind of like, I don't know. It was also like we were all a bunch of kids. We were like, 20, 21, 22, and at an age when we're still just figuring out a bunch of stuff. And so people are, but yeah, having like going on a heater and then having people look up to you is kind of a weird experience for sure.
Did you have any really weird interactions with people that stand out in your mind? Even now, I mean, this I'm sure it happens still now. You have some people send you some interesting stuff, or in real life.
Weird interactions. I don't think.
Like Timex had the guy from somewhere in Europe who tried to get him to come over something to do with sex, or like fucking in a tree. I don't quite remember the specifics about it, but that seemed like
I remember Timex got like solicited for gay sex or something like that.
Yeah.
Nothing that weird. I got the usual like hangers on and like star-struck people that were like, I remember there was one guy who was just like super fucking like, there's been a few people that have been like super like, not in that way, but still like enamored with me. And I remember one guy was obsessed with cars for some reason and was just like bugging me about what kind of car I drive, what kind of car I'm gonna get, like all the time, fucking cars. And I was just like, go away. I don't even have a fucking driver's license. Leave me alone.
Tell me the Facebook page. Okay.
Oh yeah, there was someone whose Facebook profile picture was me for a while. I don't know who they were. Oh, the weirdest one for sure was someone on Full Tilt from the Netherlands. I never found out who it was, but their Full Tilt name was Wilinofsky.
Just your last name. Did
Yeah.
Do you think he made it because of you, or maybe his last name was Wilinofsky?
There aren't a lot of other fucking Wilinofskys out there. There's probably like 4 or 5 Wilinofskys in Canada. I've never met a Wilinofsky outside of my family. So that one was really, really weird. Maybe he'll see this. Maybe Wilinofsky will see this and he'll finally come out as being Wilinofsky.
I hope so. There's a Joinger one Av that plays on PokerStars.fr. I'm really curious who that person is.
Yeah, there's like a NeverScaredF on there as well, I think. I get like once a month someone messaged me and they're like, "Are you on FR? Is this you?"
NeverScaredF?
Yeah, I think so.
I like it. They took the B, they changed it to F. Let me Derminator says, I think we what was this chat about? We talked a bit about this earlier. I guess we didn't get too into it. Derminator says he was clinically depressed, right? Can he share how he had a relationship while being clinically depressed?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. It's, and I think depression and anxiety definitely kind of, it sewered some relationships. I think it's, a lot of it's about communication and understanding, and some of that falls on you and some of that falls on the other person. Like there's only so much you can do to enhance someone else's understanding of what that's like. And if you meet someone who's open and understanding and has been through it, that helps. If you meet someone that knows someone that's gone through it, really it was about comfort and trust. And with Rada, I kind of, with my wife now, I talked about a lot of things, and we chatted online a lot before we had met in person. I think that really helped to make things more comfortable, because we talk a lot, and like we were friends first, and we talked in sort of a very non-romantic sense about a lot of these things, and so they got out of my system in a space where I wasn't really worried about being judged, and I wasn't really trying to control what I put out there because of that. So I think a lot of people, especially with like, even with online dating, but meeting in person too, with Tinder and things like that, a lot of people go into it and they're like, all right, I'm looking for a relationship or a hookup or whatever. I'm looking for this interaction. And then they're like, okay, well, this is my expectation of this, and I have to present a certain way in order to optimize my chance of success with that. And the way that I had success was just having a conversation with someone with no expectation and not trying to get to a certain point. And then you can really talk about anything, and you can build trust, because, you know, if I got judged, or if it affected me in a certain way, you know, who cares if she thought of me differently. So when you go into something, if you're on like Tinder, it's going to be really hard to, and you're going to feel a lot of stress and a lot of pressure to not come at it with, you know, these depression and anxiety anecdotes, and with kind of opening and being honest about how you're feeling in yourself, because you might not see that as appealing, and you might see that as a turnoff, or you're worried about what the other person will think. And if you go into an interaction with a person and a relationship, but a relationship of, you know, any two people have a relationship type of thing, just this is how I interact with this person. If you go into it with honesty and openness first, that's a great filter for, you know, who will be a good partner and a good match for you when they know about everything, and when things go south. If you go and talk to someone, you're like, hey, you know, this is my experience with depression and anxiety, and they're like, ugh, yeah, great, fuck them, go away. You know, that's a great filtering process, and you got rid of someone that, you know, what are you going to do if you get like 6 months into your relationship with that person and you have a depressive episode and you just want to stay in bed for a week, or you have a panic attack and you just have to like sit in your room and lock the door, and then they're like, ugh, and you've invested all this time and this energy into building this relationship, and if that's their reaction to it, it's not going to work. And then you have all this sunk cost in this relationship, and you're like, all right, let's work on that response. And then you invest a whole bunch more time and energy into a person that's not a great fit for that kind of thing. And if you go and you get 10 uhs about depression and anxiety, and then you get someone that's like, oh, you know, I understand, I've been through some stuff like that, I know what it's like, I'm sorry you've gone through that. And then you're like, oh, this is a person that I can interact with honestly and on an honest and open level. And it forms an honest, healthy, communicative relationship. And then you get that good intimacy that we were talking about earlier, that good closeness, because you're not guarding a part of your personality. You're not constantly putting on, you know, a mask. You're not constantly in a performative state trying to be like the person this person wants you to be. You can just be yourself.
Rems in the chat said, when was he depressed? I think if you're interested in reading more about this, or hearing Ben talk more about it, so he's written a lot of stuff on his blog. It's what's the link to the blog?
I think it's just NeverScaredB.wordpress.com.
Yeah, if you're interested in reading more about this, Ben's wrote a ton. There's a ton of stuff on there to read, whether it's about this or just about different things. Definitely used to write a lot more than he does now. He hasn't updated it very often in the recent.
I don't think I've updated it in the last year. or if I have, it was a while ago. I've been slacking, and I tried to write, and it didn't come out right, and so I haven't been forcing it. I also do want to shout out to the really good Poker News interview that I did with Sarah Herrick.
I've seen that.
I don't know if we can throw a link to that up to people as well, but that was also one of the better ways that I've shared kind of my experience.
Yeah, check that out too. That was kind of like the first one of the first things I watched about you, and I was definitely, you don't hear many people. I guess when I think about it, I've only really had, when I think about podcast guests, so I feel like we're really open. I think like Jason Coons, in different types of, press sort of things like that. I feel like you in poker, you've been extremely open with what you've gone through, how you feel, what you deal with. And why do you think that is? Like, why do you think that you're so open to, like, why do you think you're just interested in sharing so much about what you're going through?
That's an interesting question. I think part of it is that it's kind of a healthy process for me, and it's a venting and a cathartic process for me to get stuff out there. I also, when I first did it, when I first shared that blog, I got a really, really good positive response. I got people reaching out to me saying, thank you, or I've been through something similar, or whatever. So that's helped kind of reinforce it. But it makes sense to me that the world's a better place when we can share stuff like that. And it's better for me. I know not sharing it and keeping it bottled up was really harmful and really damaging to me, and trying to deal with it on my own and feeling like I had to deal with it on my own was really stressful and really exacerbated the problem. And so I thought that by kind of fostering an environment where it was acceptable to share these things, I could make it easier for the next person. And I think that's, to be a part of that process is important.
How do you think you get over because like the anxiety feeling of putting yourself out there that makes you look debated, like bad, makes you look negative, makes you look weak, or makes you look like how do you get over that fear and just conquer that fear? Because there are some things I would like to talk more about, but there's sort of things like you don't really want to talk about. You don't really want to admit these things, or you don't want to bring them up and have people, judge you in a negative manner and stuff like that. So how do you, what do you think made it that you're like, all right, I think the good this does for me is better than these, this judging in a negative way that I might get from people to what I'm saying?
Well, part of the process, and where it started from, was really talking to close friends first. And, I talked to a close friend, and I felt kind of the weight of the world lift off my shoulders. Then I talked to another close friend, and then I talked to a few close friends, and this process of being open about it helped me, and I noticed that, and so I decided to be more open about it. In terms of, having really great friends around me helped me, because I saw that the people that I care about weren't going to judge me negatively for that. And the people that I respect and the people that I like were not going to judge me negatively. Mm-hmm. So when I saw that, it made it easier to put it out there in the open. And I'm sure some people did judge me negatively for it, but fuck them, they're assholes. It's a problem with them to judge someone negatively for that kind of thing that's gone on in themselves. Really reflects poorly on you, because it's not something that mostly they have control over. And you can have a little bit of control, and you can work on it, and how you confront it is up to you. But having control over what happens to you isn't really inside your own head is not really an option. So it's not my fault, and to judge someone for something it's not their fault, that they're not responsible for, that they didn't create, is really just shallow. So that made it easier for me to have good friends and to have support with it. Made it easier for me.
It's really interesting. Not a way I've looked at it, but I think it gives some clarity for me, is that your friends, the people who you respect, that was the thing I think you said was sort of made it clear for me, is that the people that you respect, the people that are close to you, the people who are like you want to have in your life, when you say something like that, or you let them know, or you put something like that out there, they're not going to be like, oh, look at this fucking guy, like, talking about this. They're going to understand. I think they're going to have compassion. I think they're going to have empathy for you in that situation. And the people who might, judge you from this negative standpoint, or give you hate as feedback, you don't necessarily give a fuck really about their opinion. Like, their opinion doesn't matter. Their opinion's coming from, as you said, some type of place with them where they read that and they react this way. But the people you actually do respect,
I think it's a great filtering process, like we talked about earlier with dating and finding a partner and forming a healthy relationship through stuff like this. If you find the people, if you're depressed, and you're going to have depressive episodes, and I went through a long year where I was not really super available to my friends. I couldn't really make plans. I wasn't very dependable in terms of showing up for whatever birthdays. I was, that kind of thing. And if you're, if you can't be friends with someone through something like that, then don't. I think people are scared, really scared of losing friends and scared of social judgment. When that can be a really great feedback process. It can be a really great process to lose a friend that is not a healthy relationship for you to have. There's a great saying that I love where, if you lend a friend $20 and lose both, it was worth it, right? Like, if you're gonna have the kind of friend that's gonna hurt you over something like that, then it's worth it to lose them. So it's worth it to be out there and to be honest about yourself and lose the friends that aren't good friends. And then you can pare your life down and invest your time and energy with the people who really love you.
Mm. I'm trying to give the people out there listening a little bit of poker talk too, because I feel like we talked a lot about this stuff the first hour, and I was just going to keep it going for the entire podcast, but I know a lot of people out there, I don't know, might hit a little bit too close to home to them. They might be more interested in poker stuff. So I tried mixing in the poker talk, but I do appreciate you being so open and willing to talk about these type of things. And I think a lot of people out there are going to be able to watch this and be able to relate. I'm sure you get some messages from people saying like, wow, like you provided like a clear way to think about my own situation too. So
I do get a lot of that, and it's very gratifying to hear from people who who were helped by me kind of putting myself out there. That is one of the best encouragements I get to keep doing it, is that, I sometimes hear from people who even, someone said, I went and saw a doctor because of something you wrote on your blog, or, I'm going to talk to my friends or family, or, someone who has taken a constructive step in their lives towards improving their life because of something I put out in the world. That is just like, wow, you can touch someone's life like that. You can actually reach out and make someone's life better. That's quite a feeling.
Yeah, I think the way you put it is just so clear, like the way you can, sort of break it down and then word the way, like, exactly. It's just like, I think it's like a unique thing. And
yeah, I'm articulate as a motherfucker.
That's what I'm saying, kid. Yeah, man, a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people can't like take the situation and then just, put it out, like take it from their head and then put it into their words or put it onto paper in this like way that just makes sense to people. It can make sense to when you listen to it or read it. So I think that's like, it's a gift, kid. Maybe you should be that writer, man. Get to the novel.
Maybe I should.
Maybe you should be a writer, kid. I'm excited to read the novel in 3 to 4 years.
3 to 4 years. Yeah, it's 3 to 4 years. It's going to be a 1,000-word novel, but it's going to really hit home.
A couple people, man, I feel like this has been talked about enough. People want to talk about the PokerStars changes. I said, what about them? And the chat, Progress said, what do you think about them? Are you good for the game?
No.
We're not good for the game. Of course they're not good for the fucking game. I mean, in theory, on the surface.
They're good for Amaya. They're good for Amaya. They're good for Amaya's bottom line in the short term. And they're gonna skim the market a little bit, and they're gonna push poker more towards being something like esports, where it's a spectator thing. Everyone's seeing what games like Hearthstone are doing, and what games like Dota are doing, and tournaments like the International, and they're gonna push poker more towards that model of sort of inclusiveness and sort of games where the best play against the best, and they're going to push it away from a model of poker as we know, which is a game where everyone throws their money down and competes. They're going to push it more towards the best butting heads, which we've seen with these 50K super high rollers that they try and push on TV. What Alex Dreyfus is doing with the Global Poker Index is trying to make it more like esports. That's where the leaders of the game are heading, because they see people like us who have taken, significant amounts of money at the game as an unnecessary cost nowadays.
Just want to tell guys that poker landscape's going to be changing, because from what I hear, PokerStars and the GPI are each launching a game that's very similar to Hearthstone, poker version of the game, and I feel like things are going to look different in the landscape of poker in 1 year from now. So it should be interesting to see exactly what the GPI is launching their little league, and they're going to have the arenas and the teams. And how do you think would you get drafted on one of those teams? You think, or are you?
Me? Nah, I'm washed up.
Withered, huh?
Yeah, I'm a withered, but they might draft me as like the coach, or maybe the cheerleader, give me a couple pom-poms, a nice banana hammock so I can show off my big dick, and get me doing some letters out by the side of the court.
Well, if anyone's interested in having Ben as a cheerleader, please get in touch with them on Twitter at NeverScaredB, and let him know you'd like him to cheer for your team. Progress Not Perfect. Man, we got some weird fucking names in here today. What the hell kind of weird name is this? I'm not even gonna say this name. Done Deal Beats TV. What does that mean? Are you a rapper? Let me click on this fucking guy. Hold on a second. I don't know what you do, kid. He says, watch the episode with Donnie Stern, aka The Real Ansky, if you want to know about PokerStars changes. Yeah, I think we broke down PokerStars changes there. I'm a little bit.
Yeah. Danny went in on, and Danny's a really smart guy, and he's on point. Everything he said.
Donnie, he's gonna get upset at you if he hears this, Ben. It's Donnie.
Donnie, what have I been saying, Danny?
Yeah, he's gonna get pissed at you.
I know it's Donnie. I know.
He wrote a rant, and he ranted at me because I kept calling him Danny in the podcast. He's like, Joe, it's Donnie. I'm like,
sorry, Danny.
Donnie, I'm not telling him you said that, man. Guys, if you have any questions, any more questions, we'll take them in the chat. Nelson Becto says, love Joe Ingerman, love the podcast. First time catching it live, but I have burned through about 30 episodes on iTunes while working in the last few weeks. Please keep up the high quality work. Much love to you, Puppy. That is many, many hours of my voice in your head at work. I hope it's making.
Is he keeping up the high quality work? Is he like, what does he do? He's just listening to your podcast all day at work?
I think he wants me to keep up the high quality work because my voice is powering him to keep up high quality work at what he does.
I hope so.
I hope so too. I mean, I don't know, man. We spread some positive vibes and energy on the podcast while we do it. I feel like so people are listening while they're doing something productive. They're feeling good.
I don't even listen to music anymore when I grind. I'm like in my zone. I don't do distractions anymore. I don't know how you guys listen to a podcast at work unless your work is like strictly like physical labor and you don't even need to think about it.
Well, a lot of the guys that watch podcasts aren't necessarily professional poker players, so they're working in an office.
Sure. But if you work in an office, then that has to be distracting, right? To have someone's voice in your ear all the time. If you're like trying to write a memo with Joey Ingram's voice in your ear, and you accidentally slip in like, I don't know when that happens to me, when I have like two things in my head, two trains of thought.
Wait, you accidentally slip in what?
Well, you know, if I'm writing and the podcast, I might drop a few poppies in the memo or something, like by accident, not even realizing it. What if you identified your boss as Poppy all the way through like an entire memo and then distributed it in the office?
I think if you've ever done that, let me know. I'd like to send you something in the mail, please.
Show us the memo. Somebody show us a work memo circulating with a bunch of Joey Ingram isms.
Mumming once says I probably watched 30 plus, but I've watched while grinding. It's inspirational. Heard that a lot, man. I hear a lot of people say that.
You are an inspiration.
I don't know if I'm the inspiration. I think it's just the combination of the people on, what they say, what we talk about. I think that's the inspiring thing. Just hearing that all these cool stories and these cool lifestyles that these people have had success at poker have. I think that it really inspires people out there to have that same success. I know this is what it used to do for me back in the day when I was listening to podcasts. Like I'd hear these people's stories. I'd see Cole South posting a picture of the Bentley and BBV. I'd see the red names on full tilt. I'm like, man, I want to have put the Bentley picture in here. I want to be on the podcast. I want to be the Red Pro. I want to have people know my name from poker. So
do you have a car, Joey?
I have a car, correct? Yeah.
I guess you have to in Chicago, right? To get around. All the U.S. cities are terrible to fucking walk in.
Yeah, I have a car. I bought my dream car when I was 24. I bought a BMW M3 convertible, and I've had that for a very long time now. So now I don't care about cars anymore. I feel like when you're young, you care. Well, you don't care about cars ever, it sounds like. But when you're young, you're obsessed with cars. Like I used to be a big car guy. I'd always fix up my Dodge Neon. I put a sound system, neon lights, and now I'm just like can't be bothered.
You know what I like now, which is the weirdest fucking thing in the world, is like suits, like nice like dress office wear. That's which I wear like if someone's getting married, I wear a suit and that's it. But that's stuff I don't know. That's like my aspirational stuff is working towards like nice dress clothes for some reason. I don't know why.
Suits.
Yeah, because I'm getting fucking older, like or like nice like formal dress shoes type of things like. I don't fucking know. But then,
what are you wearing the suits? Russia?
I don't wear suits. I don't buy them either. But like I like the look of them, and I like.
You don't wear them though.
Shoes in every color.
I wear them for weddings. That's it. But I don't know. I'm getting older. I guess because like I grew up around professional people or something, and like so my idea of like a successful like adult person is just like wearing a suit. You know, it's all my dad's fault. And so, like, I look at, like, nice, like, I don't give a shit about cars because I don't even drive, but...
Why don't you just wear a suit around on, like, a day-to-day basis? Like, why don't you just chill around in a suit? I mean, obviously, it's probably not GTO for comfort, but...
I don't know. Why don't I?
I've thought about this, too. I have a bunch of nice dress clothes. I never wear them. I'm like, why don't I just wear them around? Like, would that be weird if I wear them on the podcast one day instead of, like, a tank top or a hoodie?
Just throw a dress shirt on and a nice tie and maybe a jacket and no pants.
Well, obviously no pants. I mean,
yeah, who wears pants on a podcast?
Am I wearing pants right now? I don't know. I've done a couple podcasts with no pants on. I gotta admit.
I have one. I think it was $100 or $200 naked. I swear I was at the final table with someone named Playing Naked. I guess you wouldn't remember that guy. Some of the tournament guys might remember Playing Naked, and I was actually naked, and we had some fun banter in the chat box, like deep in one of those tournaments.
Do you play naked a lot?
No, not anymore. I don't know. Like I don't like fucking throwing clothes on when I don't have to. But now, like, actually during the summer, I probably played naked a lot, or at least like just in underwear or whatever.
The entire Greece you played naked.
Yeah, Greece. I didn't put any clothes on because it was fucking warm and we weren't leaving the apartment. So why would I? Why would you put on clothes if you don't have to?
I agree. No one's watching anymore now. I'm sure some people are watching, but I'm going to ask a question that I'm very curious about because it kind of plays along with the same thing about naked and the big dicks and the porn and stuff like that. Do you ever watch porn while you play poker?
No. So I crack a bunch of jokes about this on Sundays. There was a bunch of jokes I cranked out about like jerking off on sink breaks in tournaments because we get those 5-minute breaks every hour, and like just cracking jokes about. I cracked a bunch of jokes about how I'm an anxious jizzer So like having the pressure of the sink brakes actually makes me go faster. So it's really great.
Is that true? Is that a joke? Cracking jokes? Right.
I don't know. Is it?
I don't know, man. Cracking jokes. Okay. I think a lot of people
I
out
can't
there.
give away all my secrets.
I feel like I'm up a massive amount of money watching porn while playing poker online.
Do you think so?
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
What does it do to your focus? Do you get like more into the game or less into the game, or are you like more relaxed? I feel like
more. I think I play better. I think I'm just. I don't know, I think I'm not. Sometimes I might start overthinking things. Like whenever I get tilted, I put porn on because then I get relaxed and I just get focused in. And this is like deep GTO right here, guys. And
yeah, porn is really good for. And I find myself like if I'm at the end of an awful day where like I just brick everything. I don't know. I like end up kind of seeking it out or like feeling more like engaging with some pornography. That's very sexy terminology right there. But yeah, I feel like watching porn after like a really bad day. I don't know what it is. Like I guess it's just like a coping mechanism where you feel better about yourself. Or you don't actually feel better about yourself after, but you just feel less stressed. So yeah, when I get more stressed, it does help. But I have a wife. I don't launch as much as I used to.
Don't need to now. When you're married, you don't need to, kid. You just
There are better ways to get relaxed now. And it's not even always sex stuff. It's a lot of the time it's sex stuff. But like just like cuddling is nice. It takes my blood pressure right down, or getting a kiss. Just being beside her and with her helps take the edge off of that tilt.
Usually when I'm tilted, I'm like, get the fuck away from me. Like I need like 30 minutes. I used to tilt for like a couple hours. Now 30 minutes, 20 minutes, no matter how much I lose, I'm always off tilt in 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, don't wife those girls. If like you're upset and being around that person makes it worse, that's probably not a good sign.
It's a really, really good point. Really, really good point, actually. Really, wow, that's a really good point. Find someone that when you lose a lot of money.
Joey's gonna fucking hang up on this podcast and he's gonna go dump a chick right after. He's just had a revelation.
No.
I'm like the opposite of a matchmaker. I just come in and I ruin people's relationships.
Does that happen?
I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe it's happened and I don't know about it. I have occasionally met girls who were with a boyfriend and then they met me and were no longer with a boyfriend. Step your game up.
Have you ever had any physical interactions or altercations from that instance?
No. You seen this beard? I'm a scary looking motherfucker. I shave with a straight razor. Nobody fucks with me.
Girls love him.
What'd you say? Girls love him?
Girls love me, apparently, according to my wife, who is the expert on how lovable I am. She's projecting a little bit there, just a little bit.
All right, guys. Let me know if anyone has anything else. We're going to. How long are we going? 2 hours, 20 minutes? Yeah, we're gonna. We'll get things wrapped up here. Let me go read this chat here. I want some serious sushi coaching session with Donnie Stern, aka the real. Why are you calling him Donnie Stern, aka the real Ansky? His name's Donnie Stern. Just call him Donnie Stern, puppy.
Is there other Donnies? Can we just call him Donnie?
Well, there's a guy that looks like Donnie. He's got a twin, like a Eastern European twin who lives in South Florida. I'm not. It looks just like him. It's that I don't know. I can't. I have to show the picture now, but I'll put the picture up later. Let me see who else is in here. Let me get some shout outs here while we're waiting for some questions. I haven't given shout outs at all. Oh my God. Let me see who we got here. Rems, Papi, Marco, Colamosa. What up, Wim? Shout outs, obviously. I forgot Wim. I know. My bad. Derminator. What up, Derminator? It's because he has a big dick. Okay. That's why women love him.
That's why. They don't usually find out about that until they actually like me a little bit.
Okay. Zach.
Unless I'm wearing sweatpants.
Unless you're wearing sweatpants, you got the outline, the print, the print sitting up there, huh?
Yeah.
What else we got? Andrek Mochakalakic. Done deal Beats. What up, Beats? Marco, Papi. Let's see. Mumming, what up, Mumming? Balbalky, you negative today, man. You gotta fucking calm down, Papi. You need to go watch some porn and relax, man. William Mueller, what up, Willem Mueller, what up, Willem? SOCOM Vids. What else we got? Eric Wilson. I'm learning. I hope so. Jonah Louie, what up, Jonah? Let me go back down. All right. Can you butcher my name one more time so I can go to sleep happy? Andre Mecha. How the fuck could you possibly say this name? Honestly, Mechelik. How do you say this name? It's M-A-C-H-A with one of those weird things over it, like a squiggly line. L-E-K.
Mahalik?
Oh, might be right. Mahalik. Did we get it? Is it
or Mahalik?
Andre Mahalik? Yeah. Let me know if that's
Probably
it.
Mahalik.
Wim Rosen says next podcast is going to be Friday with George Arias, aka Twin Crocs, one of the legends of the online poker world. He was playing high stakes poker 10 years ago. I played more PLO hands with him than anybody else. He allegedly lives one of the most interesting lives in the world. He's like a Venezuelan end boss, or South America. I'm not quite sure. I think it's Venezuela. I'm not quite sure. Do you know George Arias? You ever met him before?
Never. Not that I know of. I don't think I've ever met him. I haven't spent much time in South America though.
Yeah, he's we'll see. And next Monday we're gonna have Jason Moe back on the podcast. I'm sure he's gonna have a lot of angry things to say about many different people. And next Wednesday we're gonna have a turn player named Daryl Fish on the podcast. D Fish, who is, I think he has a very interesting outlook on life, and he should say some things that make people say, what the fuck did he just say? So it should be an interesting episode. So Ben, if you had 2 podcast guests to recommend that I haven't had on that you'd like to see on, I think be fun.
I have no idea who the fuck you've had on. I don't watch your podcast, Joey.
Well, give me 2 guests that I think I should have on then.
2 people you should have on, I guess from the poker world. Shit.
I know you watched some of it because you mentioned the Pads and Timex podcast, so that's not true.
No, I saw Pad's tweets. I didn't.
Damn it.
Nice try though. 2 guests. Shit. I don't have any fucking poker friends anymore. Who would be fun to have on? I have no idea. I'm gonna think about this, and I'm gonna send you something after because I can't think of anybody off the top of my head. I was not prepared for this question at all. If I had watched your podcast, I probably would have been prepared for this question, right?
Damn you, Poppy. Let me see. Anything else? Joey, any tips for not feeling like I'm going to have a stroke after a 4-hour 12-tabling session? I don't know. Any tips for someone that feels like they're going to have a stroke after a 4-hour 12-tabling session?
Cut down on your tables, maybe?
Yeah, that could work for sure.
4 hours, maybe like 6 or 8 instead. I don't know what feeling like you're gonna have a stroke means. Does he just mean that like blasted out, adrenalized feeling where you can't settle down after, or is he talking about like feeling like insanely wound up? Like we were saying, the porn helps sometimes. Just rub one out, chill out a little bit. But yeah, I think people overvalue adding extra tables because it does divide your attention a little bit. So your table does go down, and I think people underestimate the effect of long-term fatigue. You know, if you can 4 hour play 4 hours playing 4 tables every day and not get fatigued long-term, and you can do that every single day for a year, that's probably better health-wise and equity-wise than playing 12 tables for 4 hours, being burnt out, not being able to do any study or any reflection on your play after, not being able to learn optimally from your day, and then playing like 250 days a year and binge drinking the rest of the time.
Binge drinking the rest of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of guys that do that that just overclock themselves most of the year and then use substances to cope with the stress, and that's your long-term is that's not a great proposition. You're better off scaling back and having more energy during the day, taking care of other things, taking care of studying, taking care of your exercise and your diet, taking care of your social life, and then not burning out as quickly.
Well, there you go, guys. We're going to leave it at that. If you want to get in touch with Ben, on Twitter at NeverScaredB, if you'd like to read more of his blog, I will put the link in the description below. But it's neverscaredb.blogspot.com, right?
.wordpress.com, I think.
Yeah.
Neverscaredb.wordpress.com. Yeah.
Neverscaredb.wordpress.com.
Thanks for having me, Joey.
Appreciate you coming on.
It's been fun.
Thank you for all the wisdom, my friend. I will be railing along with your marriage sweat here, or with your citizenship visa sweat, and let's see if you stick with your plan of not playing uninstalling PokerStars come January 1st, 2016. And
that's going to be an interesting sweat too. We're going to see if I can actually do it.
We're going to see, man. We'll get you back on sometime soon, because I think people will really enjoy it. So Ben, thanks for coming on. Guys on YouTube, if you want to go back and watch it, if you're watching this now, go rewind it. If you're watching this live, you want to watch it back, go rewind. If you're watching this on replay 2 months from now, shout out to you. And that's it. Peace out, guys. Adios. Con la moza cara molacita, papi, arrivederci. Hasta luego, con la moza. I'll see you later, Ben.
Take care, man.
All right, peace out. All right, guys, see you later. Much love. You guys were fun. That's it.